Hello, everybody, and welcome to the White Hatter YouTube News Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Darren.
Today on the show, we're talking about some lot of data breaches around wearable technology and health technology. We're going to be talking about some new reports from apparently Facebook itself about the downsides of Instagram. Interesting. And students' data being hacked from schools and being shared on the dark web.
Looking forward to it.
All right, here we go.
In the news.
First news topic is over 60 million wearable fitness tracking records exposed online via unsecured database.
60 million. What's this all about?
So on Monday, which was last week, website Planet, together with cybersecurity researchers, discovered a database belonging to Get Health, which is a New York-based company designed to kind of amalgamate and collect all kinds of health records from like Fitbit and Health Kit from Apple.
What?
Microsoft Band.
Did you just say Apple?
Yeah, I know, right?
They got information from Apple?
Well, if you allow an app or a program to have access to your health information from Apple, then it has access to your health information.
As you know, I'm an Apple fanboy, right?
Yeah, I know. So the problem here is that you see in the data, there are things like first names, last names, weight, emails, display names, reported genders, time zones, all that stuff. So a lot of data, nothing like credit card data. There's no credit card numbers or anything, but there's a lot of personal health number. And what's concerning here is that there are these organizations who are collecting all kinds of data from all kinds of different places to have a central part of health. So all your health is in one central place. But the problem is that then creates vulnerability.
This kind of reminds me of the article that we talked about, God, it must have been about 2 years ago now, for the Iraqi-Afghani war, where soldiers were wearing Fitbits to work out, but they forgot that Fitbit collects geotagging location, longitude, latitudes, which were leaked. So now the enemy could see basically where these special force people have their special secret bases. They were able to locate them because of their Fitbits, right? I mean,
yes.
So that's very
interesting. Which is why the U.S. military kind of banned wearable smart health technology with GPS for that reason.
Yeah,
it's because of relaying information to individuals who may not need
But
to
all
know
this
that.
information that's here could potentially be used for identity theft, right? Because there's a lot of personal information there that would be needed.
Very well. Or somebody crafting a very targeted scam towards you.
Oh, yeah.
Going,
Good point.
To make it sound like, well, obviously you must be legitimate because you have all this information about me, when in fact it was there on the internet.
Gotcha.
Now, good news is that there was no records of this data being accessed by other individuals.
Okay.
Now, it was publicly available on the internet, so who knows? But thankfully, cybersecurity researchers saw this, reported it, and then kind of got it fixed.
Did they get a bounty? Don't know.
I didn't see any bounties awarded on this. I mean, normally bounties are from larger organizations that have a huge budget for that.
It's not a large organization.
This wasn't Fitbit.
Apple?
This was a company who was collecting information from Fitbit.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm sure if it was a Fitbit problem, there would have been a bounty.
Yeah.
But it was someone who was sharing information.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. With convenience comes vulnerability. We keep saying that. Oh, this is an interesting one, right?
Kind of on the same sort of thought is that NBC News last week kind of did an investigative report.
NBC News.
NBC.
Yeah. NBC.
Yes.
November, Bravo, Charlie.
Yes.
All right. Just saying.
They did an investigative report looking at the amount of student data from schools availably accessible on the darknet.
This has been an issue for years. In fact, one of our White Hatter team members, Julia, she's working on her PhD on this very issue about how schools and the integration of technology and social media into the classroom is becoming a privacy risk that we all need to be aware of, right? Like a good example, a lot of schools are using like Google Classroom is a good example. And what kind of information are they collecting and then potentially creating digital dossiers for the purposes of monetizing, you know, all these kind of things, right? So what else did this article have to say?
So NBC News went ahead and they actually went and they kind of collected information from the dark web that was publicly available, and they to kind of verify, you know, what kind of information is out there about students and all kinds kinds of information, even some social security numbers, names, addresses.
These are all things that we find when we do research down on the dark web as well.
Any information a school could possibly hold in a database somewhere, they potentially found, often because schools are being targeted by hackers and scammers.
And the reason that's happening is because youth have what the criminal element calls virgin credit, right? Like they've never applied for credit ever before.
It's unlikely that a student has any kind of social crediting monitoring.
Correct.
So it's a low risk for hackers in order to target students.
Right.
And a lot of schools may not have the cybersecurity infrastructure in place to protect that data, which is what we're finding, which is what NBC found in their investigative report. And they actually contacted some of the schools where the students' data belonged, and they had no idea that this data breached or accessible online.
And that's what Julia is doing, right? And for those of you, Julia Hellinger, check her out on her Twitter feed. That's what she's working on her PhD on. I mean, she's becoming kind of Canada's premier individual go-to person for this issue. But this is being, because she's involved in education, right? Like she's a professor at Vancouver Island University, right? So this is something that she's very passionate about. But, you know, as a criminal, if I can get identity on a teen or a youth, because they have virgin credit, they have no credit whatsoever, allows us to steal it and create, say, a credit card using their name, changing their date of birth, and now we can go out and charge it to the max, never pay for it. Now your child all of a sudden is old enough to go to college or university, buy their first car. They don't have enough money to buy their first car, so what do? They apply for a loan. As soon as they apply for a bank loan, what happens next? There's something called a credit check done on you. And as soon as that credit check is done, lights and sirens are going off, right? All because information is being leaked into the light and dark web that potentially can be harvested and used for the purposes of identity theft. Like identity theft is the number one crime being committed online right now, especially against youth right across North America.
Yeah. Or account takeovers and logins.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what kind of led to this is that there was a news article that this article cited on how a young person got their identity stolen, and then someone was using their identity to do what you said, get a credit card, and get credit, and all that stuff. So, what's there to do? And I think the article kind of left it going, honestly, it's really up to parents and caregivers, because, you know, sometimes it's up to them to ensure the schools are following best practices. Right. I mean, the solution would be for schools to have proper cybersecurity in place in order to prevent that. And it depends on what school district you're in, because some schools we've been to, they have great practices and great policies in place.
Some others, not so
much. No. So, so, you know, it's not as if, as a parent or caregiver, you always have a choice, because oftentimes that's the school your kids go to, and it's what they have is what they have.
And the other thing that we're finding too is that teachers, bless their hearts, right? Like they have gone above and beyond during COVID for the past 19 months. And now that we're into the fourth wave of this, I think that it's going to get bad again. But, you know, God bless their souls. But, you know, teachers are trying to adapt, overcome, and improvise in order to connect with their kids during COVID. So they themselves are maybe using products that they may not truly understand some of the privacy implications of using these products with their students, and how what they're doing could be leaking personal information that they purposely, they don't know this, right? Like it's not their fault. But again, it's something that we need to be aware of. And Julia and her students have created something that's called Privacy Privy, if I'm not mistaken, where they talk about all these social media platforms that our teachers are using, both past and present, and what you need to be aware of as an educator about some of these apps and social networks and sites that teachers are using in classroom, and how some of them are significant privacy breach issues.
Yep.
So something to think about. Check her out.
Next article. This one I saw kind of making its rounds on social media, because people were using this to say, hey, social media is bad. Here's the reason why. Leaked.
Facebook knows Instagram is toxic for teen girls. Company documents show.
Look at all the buzzwords in there.
I know.
Look at all the buzzwords.
Toxic.
So, what is it? So basically, leaked documents of a slideshow from apparently inside research.
Okay, go over that. Leaked slideshow
of a presentation
discussing
some data results from a study that Facebook did internally, which is now being reported here.
Okay, I think in policing we would call that hearsay evidence.
Well,
No?
yeah. So I guess anyone watching this and hearing this we're now the 4th degree of separation from the original source material. Yeah. So anyways, so a lot of people are taking this, always looking at the headline and going, hey, Instagram's bad because according to the slideshows, it showed that there was a percentages relating to young people who were feeling bad about themselves because of Instagram and or blaming Instagram for depression or body image challenges, and
Which all can happen.
Which can all happen. Obviously,
Right?
that happens. I mean, social media is not for everybody.
And outside of this article, we are well aware, and we talk about these studies in our free webbook for parents on online safety and all those issues, where there are a number of really good peer-reviewed academic research papers that we cite, so you can go and have a look at them, that show that, you know, to a small cohort of teens, primarily those who identify as female, the use of social media can cause depressive issues. Small cohort of people. And I think sometimes what happens with clickbait headlines like this is it fails to recognize that, right? Like if it's only 5% of the population, that means 95% of the population are having no issues. Now, does that downplay the 5%? No, it's something we need to be alive to, right?
I think the words they used were significant, because I think that's the words that was used in the presentation slideshow, showing a significant portion, but it never really presented the right percentages.
Yeah, what were the numbers?
Nor did the slideshows at which were being cited here gave any numbers of the total population of young people studied. So I would like to know from Facebook is, okay, you have these slideshows, you have these numbers, how many young people did you study?
Yeah, what was the size?
Like 5% in a group of 5 people compared to 5% in a group of 1 million people are two very different things.
Right.
So I think that's one of the challenges with more so industry-based research, which it can be really good and get immediate, recent data.
In fact, a lot of the very reputable researchers that we know who study this issue in the field, were PhD candidates, are basically sounding very loudly to people like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, open up your data so we can go have a look at it, so we can research it properly and report it out properly, right? Like if it takes, a global village to keep people safer, well then let's do this, right? But I think what happens is a lot of these places are afraid that they're going to share their secret sauce with these researches become public. But
well, I think that's one issue. So some good things did come out of this article.
Right.
I mean, maybe not.
Again,
things.
We're not downplaying this, right? Because we know that there's good research out there that we cite in our book that says that, when it comes to social media, especially to those who identify as female, there's a small cohort where it does affect them in an emotional, psychological, and physical and social way in a negative way sometimes, right? Like we know that, especially when it comes to body image.
So one of the things that we're revealing about this leak is that it kind of point the finger at Facebook, because when they went to Congress in the U.S. to discuss the health benefits and challenges about their platforms, is that they said it was only a small amount, and then this internal documentation kind of says otherwise, and that it was presented in a way that Facebook was suppressing this data in order for it not to get public, because obviously it would not look good on them.
So what do? They do a public presentation where they use the data.
Well, it wasn't a public presentation. It was a leaked slideshow that somehow someone created inside their organization. I mean, why in the first place would they do the study anyway?
So they had a frenemy on the inside.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know that detail, but it's
like, who did it? What was the data? How big was the cohort they studied? How long was this studied over? Like, there's so many questions we have. Again, what I hate about this headline is the word toxic, right? Like, again, I don't want to downplay this. Like, there are lots of good research, academic and cited research by very reputable universities and researchers that show that for some who identify as female, teens, that social media can be a negative thing from an emotional, psychological, physical, and social standpoint. Like, there's no doubt about it. But again, when you read something like this, it kind of paints the whole category of teens and youth that it's toxic for all of them.
Yeah, and that's a problem. Although, what I did like is that the article here did highlight why Instagram may not be the best platform and how it compared and contrasted other platforms and what they offer. Right. And what I mean by that is that they identified how Instagram is definitely more pretty image based.
Yes.
Where you're looking, they compared Instagram to TikTok, which is definitely more of a performative platform.
Right.
Where yes, there is toxicity in looks and beauty, but it's definitely masked or either combined with performative aspects.
If I was to compare, to be very honest, if I was looking at a social media platform that I would compare to Instagram that is current with youth right now, it would be Visco.
Yeah.
Right? Because Visco is kind of, well, it's image-based, right? Much like Instagram is image-based. The difference is on Visco, what you post, others can't comment on. They can't like or not like or put negative. I mean, that's why a lot of teens like Visco, because they can put out there who they are without fear of people saying negative things about them, right?
Yeah.
So, but if I was to compare kind of apples to apples, that's kind of who I would compare it to. I would compare, and anyways.
And this challenge in toxic beautification and sexuality, it's not just a tech issue. I mean, we've seen this with all magazines back in the old days and TV. And
we even see it today.
Yeah, in other media. It's not the tech necessarily. I mean, I remember back, even before social media was such a big thing, the whole discussion was around beautification and photoshopping in magazines for toxic levels of standards of beauty and all that stuff, which is garbage and gross.
Yeah. Ooh, garbage and gross. You reminded me of Oscar off of Sesame Street. Do you know who Oscar is?
Is that the cookie one?
No, that's the Cookie Monster. Oh my God. Keegan, have fun with this one. Oscar is the Grouch in the garbage can.
Gotcha. Cookie Monster. All those Cookie Monster.
All right. Anyways.
Cookie.
What else do we got going? But you're right. I mean, this has been around, issues surrounding this pre-social media, right?
Yeah.
Like the magazines, radio, TV, walking into malls and seeing stuff in windows, right? That it's been around forever. Yeah. It's just that social media has now become the new platform, right?
Yeah, and I do agree. Instagram is definitely more of a place where toxic imagery, because it's designed that way, where, like I said before, TikTok is more performative, Snapchat has filters to be more silly, where Instagram is definitely more about getting that perfect image, cropped just perfectly with the perfect light, just to make it look the way you want it to.
Right.
So I do agree on that, but no, not every platform is for everybody.
That's true.
And last topic for today is WhatsApp. That is Facebook, again. WhatsApp enabling end-to-end encryption on its backup. So, yes, we do know end-to-end encryption is something that WhatsApp does, so it's encrypted and whatnot. You can also back up your history of WhatsApp, but when you would do that, it wouldn't be an encrypted place. So you can back it up to like Google Cloud or something.
Right, and it wouldn't be encrypted if you backed it up to Google Cloud.
Yeah, now the backup will be encrypted if enabled, which will allow your backups to be protected.
The industry, more and more of the industry is moving to encryption, which I understand, but I also think produces challenges, right? And I think a lot of those challenges for me is when it comes to CSAM material, child sexual abuse material, right? Like if all of a sudden WhatsApp is encrypting everything and all these social media platforms are encrypting all communications, it's going to make it much, much, much harder for law enforcement to investigate individuals who are sharing child sexual abuse material online. Mm-hmm. That's it? Just
Well, you're going to have to assume that these people are probably... They're probably using platforms that are not going to be searched anyways. I mean, these are mainstream platforms who are going now end to end, but you have to assume that these individuals are using their own
But remember,
in
never
place.
assume, because it makes an ass out of you and me. And anyways.
Did you check your car oil this morning?
Yes, I did.
Did you check the tire pressure?
Yes, I did.
Did you check your gas levels?
Yes, I did.
Did you check the battery levels?
Yes, I did. You know how I did that?
Well, how?
As soon as you go into your car and turn it on, it does the full diagnostic.
Did
for
you verify the computer wasn't encrypted or hacked?
No.
There we go. You made an assumption. You made an assumption based on that.
Blah, 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 blah. There's your big brain clicking in again.
We as humans need to assume things in order to live. If you had to literally think about everything and verify every little
Let me think
thing,
about that.
you wouldn't be able to do nearly as much as you could in a day.
All right.
If you didn't make assumptions.
Whatever.
It's the reason why we check our microphones before we start.
That's true.
I mean, no, we have yet to have a problem with our current setup, but...
All right. Well, we have in the past because you forgot to maybe turn on the sound.
Notice I said the current setup.
Okay. All right.
The current setup. I'm not talking about the past setup. The current setup.
Okay. I'll give you that one.
All right. I chose that word.
Anything else on this topic?
Yeah. So WhatsApp encryption end to end. So if you back it up, your Google won't be able to see it if you back up to Google.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's news on that.
Interesting. I don't know. I think a lot of these companies are moving to end-to-end encryption to help, because now they can say, well, we didn't know that child sexual abuse material is being traded. It's fully encrypted. How would we know? I think it's just an out. So again, I understand why
It is an out, but also their
is-
customers are demanding end-to-end encryption.
Yeah, I
because
get it.
obviously entities who are abusing their power was abusing non-encrypted material.
Yeah, I get it.
So, I mean,
It's always the yin and yang approach, right? Trying to figure out where the balance point is, right? So I just think end-to-end encryption on everything is not a good idea. I just don't, because I think what that does is it gives the criminal element the ability to propagate what it is that they're doing without fear of any kind of consequences to actions. That's all. That's just me. And who am I? I'm nothing but a boomer. Oh, new term for you. I'm a zaddy. Z-A-D-D-Y. You know what a zaddy is?
what's that?
A hotly dressed older male. Yeah, baby. I'm a zaddy. Anyways, that's what the kids are calling it. Used to be called a drippin' boomer, right? Drippin' boomer. As you know, they used to call me drippin' boomer. But now it's, hey, you're a zaddy. Woohoo! Anyways, what are some updates? You're welcome.
We are hard at work making sure our VODs...
It's Friday morning at 20 after 9 Pacific Standard Time. I haven't had my coffee yet again.
Yeah, off a train of thought.
I know.
Oh, right.
I call that a brain fart.
We
You
are
just had a brain fart. Yeah, that's what you had. You just had a brain fart.
so we are still working on our VODs for grade 4, 5, 6, 7 program, which should be coming out.
What the hoot is a VOD?
Video on demand.
Well, then
silly.
say that, because there may be some people that don't know what VOD stands for.
Video on demand.
Okay.
Pre-recorded, edited, produced white hat videos.
There you go. All right. So we're still working on those?
Still working on that.
You said they would be done by the first week of October. Not we, you. You said
I am working
that
on
they
it.
would be available the first week of October. That's what you said.
I'm working
Just
on
reminding of you. Don't put we. You said I would be
I'm
finished.
using the cumulative we as the white hatter team.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Although I'm the one editing right now.
That's exactly right. When I'm given a time limit, when you give me something and say it has to be done by this time, I get her done. Right? So just remember, you promised October 1st. Anyways.
I didn't say October 1st. I said
The first week of October. You said the first week of October.
by October.
You said the first week of October. Anyways, what else we got on our updates? We've started our school presentations. We've had a
Yes.
couple of
You
those
have one
now. I got
happening
one today in
in
about
an hour or so?
2 hours.
2 hours. Okay.
2 hours. In about 2 hours to
Gives
do.
me 2 hours to do some more editing.
Yeah, exactly. So we're back at that. Next week, we're doing a number of other ones. We got a huge law enforcement agency here in Canada that we're presenting our social media safety and digital literacy for school resource officers, youth officers, gang officers, and community officers. Really looking forward to that, as well as a couple of other schools. So things are starting to pick up, right? School's back in place. Here we go. We've made a decision that until January of next year, we are going to continue to do our virtual work rather than doing in person.
Honestly, I think we're doing virtually is way better than in person.
Yeah, I agree. But there'll still be some schools that maybe want us in person, and we're still going to, I think, offer that as a hybrid. But I'm really, like you, I'm going to use a boomer word. I'm really digging the virtual right now, right? And most of the teachers and the students who are watching us are saying the same thing. We talk about that in the back to school thing that we just did, right? And we talk about it on our website as well, where we have some testimonials from teachers and students about how they're really enjoying. And you just updated. We're moving to. We're using one platform, but we're moving to OBS now.
We will use probably a mix of both. I mean, there's different platforms.
What's the other one called?
There's XSplit, OBS.
Because we use XSplit now,
right? I think Wirecast. There is
right.
A bunch of different broadcasting software. There is no perfect broadcasting software out there.
Yeah, each has their own.
So what we're looking to do and what we're looking to offer, I think what we're currently using is a bit limited in. So we're going to a different platform. So we're just working on the transfer of that, which will allow us. I mean, you gain some things, you lose some things,
but it's pretty cool.
But I think what we can now present as a final product will be far cooler.
What you showed me yesterday with the OBS to have me going through it, I went, oh, this is kind of cool, right? Yeah. There's a couple more buttons that this boomer has to learn how to push and not push.
Again, you gain some things, you lose some things. It gets a little more complicated for the presenter, but what you're
Let's be honest, it makes it a little bit more complicated for moi. Not you.
But what we're able to achieve in the final product will be far superior.
Yeah, for sure.
So
yeah, good show.
Yeah.
Good show.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
From the White Hatter team, thank you all so much.
I'm
and we'll
Darren.
see you all next time. And I'm Brandon.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.